All right, so let's dive into something that's always kind of intrigued me. The whole deal behind men's and women's golf clubs. I mean, we all know they're not just about like color, right?
Right.
There's got to be more to it. And luckily, we've got some great source material for this deep dive. An article from Golf Locality called "What Are the Differences Between Men's and Women's Golf Clubs?" Straightforward title there.
Yeah.
Came out pretty recently, September 18th of this year, so pretty fresh stuff.
Yeah, what's really fascinating about this is how much science actually goes into, something that most people just kind of take for granted. Every little detail of the club. You've got the grip, you've got the shaft, you've got that club head. It's all very carefully calculated. It all influences your game.
Yeah, I mean, I get the grip, I guess, right? It's the only part you're actually touching during your swing. But what about those other components? The article mentions different materials and sizes, but what's the real impact when you're actually out there on the course?
We'll take the shaft, for example. It's not just about the length, it's also about the flexibility. A more flexible shaft can actually kind of work like a spring. It stores energy when you're swinging back and then releases it when you hit the ball. And this can really be a game changer, especially for players who maybe don't have quite as much upper body strength to really power through their swing.
So is that partially why?
Yeah.
Women's clubs are often designed with more flexible shafts.
Yeah.
It's not just about height then, right?
Yeah.
It's about the physics actually working with your swing.
Precisely. And this also ties into why women's clubs are generally lighter. A lighter club is much easier to accelerate, which means you can generate more club head speed without even having to swing as hard. And that obviously translates to more distance.
This is like making me rethink my entire approach to golf. Okay, so shaft length helps with generating power. Flexibility and weight help with club head speed. What about the club heads themselves? The article called them the business end of the club, which I think is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I like that. And this is where things get really interesting. Men's club heads are often designed with shot shaping in mind. Think of it like, kind of drawing the ball. You can intentionally curve it left or right to navigate the course. But to do that well consistently requires a lot of precision. And that's where, those denser materials come in.
Yeah, shot shaping sounds impressive, but honestly, I'm more of a, hit it straight and hope kind of golfer. Which brings us to the forgiveness factor of women's clubs. I've heard that term thrown around a lot. But what does it actually mean?
So think about this. Have you ever hit a shot that wasn't perfectly centered on the club face, but it still went relatively straight?
Yeah.
That's forgiveness in action. Women's clubs often use a design called perimeter weighting. Essentially, they distribute the weight around the edges of the club head.
Okay, so what does that actually do?
Well, by shifting that center of gravity. Perimeter weighting makes the club face a lot more stable, and it minimizes twisting on those off-center hits, which results in straighter shots even if your contact isn't perfect. It's like having a built-in safety net.
That's brilliant. So it's not just about making the club head bigger, it's about strategically distributing that weight.
Yeah.
This is really giving me a whole new appreciation for the engineering that goes into these clubs.
It really is incredible. And the best part is, this level of design isn't just reserved for pro golfers anymore. The article mentioned custom clubs, and this is where things get really personal.
Now you're speaking my language. Custom clubs always sounded to me like something only.
Yeah.
Like Tiger Woods would bother with. But the article makes it seem a lot more accessible. So fill me in. How does this whole custom club thing actually work?
Well, it starts with understanding that every golfer is different. We all have different swing speeds, different strengths, different body types, and all those factors influence how a club actually performs in our hands.
So it's not just about choosing between like men's and women's clubs then. It's about finding clubs that are specifically tailored to your needs.
Exactly. That's where custom fitting comes in. We'll dive into the details in a little bit, but imagine being able to fine-tune every aspect of your clubs, the shaft length, the flex, the club head weight, the grip size, all perfectly matched to your swing and your goals for the game.
That sounds like the holy grail of golf equipment. Okay. I am officially intrigued. So let's unpack this whole custom fitting process. What should somebody actually expect if they take the plunge?
Well, we'll get into that after a quick break.
No breaks. Come on, Spill Beans. I'm hooked. What happens during a fitting? Do they analyze your swing? Are there like high-tech gadgets involved?
It's actually a really fascinating blend of technology and expertise. They use something called a launch monitor.
A launch monitor. Okay, you have to explain this one. What is that?
So it's a piece of equipment that measures everything about your swing and the ball's flight. Club head speed, launch angle, spin rate, even how far the ball travels. They use that data to identify any areas where your equipment might be holding you back.
Hold on, so they can actually see. If my clubs are the reason my ball isn't soaring like a majestic eagle, that's incredible.
Yeah, and that data, combined with the fitter's observation of your swing, helps them recommend specific club adjustments or even completely different club models. They might suggest tweaking the shaft flex, changing the loft of your clubs, or even customizing the grip to fit your hand perfectly.
Wow, this is making me realize there's a whole science to this. I thought it was just about picking a club that looked cool.
Well, there's definitely an element of personal preference, but the science behind it can really elevate your game, and that's what we'll delve into next.
All right, let's do it. Take us deeper into this world of custom fitting. What exactly goes on during a session, and what kind of magic can these fitters actually work?
Well, let's start with
Okay, so paint me a picture. What happens when you walk into one of these custom fitting sessions? Do they make you wear a special suit or something?
no special suits required, but they'll probably have you hit a few balls on a launch monitor to start, just to get kind of a baseline reading of your swing.
Ah, the launch monitor. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, swinging away. They're actually gathering data with every shot.
Exactly. It's measuring everything.
Yeah.
Club head speed, ball speed, launch angles, spin rate, even how far the ball is traveling. It's like a super detailed analysis of your swing.
And what are they looking for in all that data?
Well, they're looking for patterns and any inconsistencies. For example, if you consistently slice the ball to the right, it might indicate that you need a club with a different lie angle or a shaft with a different flex.
Lie angle. It's another one I've heard but never really understood.
Okay, so think of it as the angle at which the shaft connects to the club head, and it influences the direction that the club face is pointing at impact, which obviously impact where the ball goes.
I see. So the launch monitor is helping them pinpoint these little details that I probably wouldn't even notice on my own.
Exactly, but it's not just about the numbers. A good club fitter will also observe your swing mechanics. Your posture, your grip, your overall comfort level.
So it's not like those self-checkout lines at the grocery store then.
Yeah.
There's an actual human involved.
Absolutely. A human with expertise. They might make adjustments to your grip or your stance, offer some tips on your swing, and then have you hit more balls to see how those changes actually affect your performance.
So it's a really collaborative process. They're not just dictating what you need, but actually working with you to find the best fit.
Exactly. They'll ask you questions about how the clubs feel, what you're noticing, what your goals are for your game. It's about matching the equipment to the player, not the other way around.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk turkey. How much does all this custom fitting usually cost? Is it going to break the bank?
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The cost can vary a lot, depending on the fitter's experience, the brand of clubs you're interested in, and the level of customization you're looking for.
So it is an investment, but potentially a worthwhile one if you're really serious about improving your game.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Would you buy a pair of, cheap, ill-fitting running shoes if you were training for a marathon?
Probably not.
The right equipment can make a huge difference in your performance and your enjoyment.
I hear you. No more skimping on golf shoes or clubs for me. But let's say I'm ready to take the plunge. What should I be looking for in a club fitter?
Well, first and foremost, look for someone who is reputable and experienced. They should be knowledgeable about different club brands, shaft technologies, and the latest fitting techniques.
So don't just go with the first guy that pops up on Google. Do your research. Ask for recommendations.
Exactly. Talk to your friends. Check online reviews. See if your local golf course has a fitting professional on staff.
Okay, and once I found a reputable fitter, what happens during the actual session? Is it all launch monitor, or are there other, tests and assessments they do?
So the launch monitor is definitely a key part of it. But they'll also take some basic measurements, like your height, arm length, hand size. They might even analyze your swing using video technology to get a really detailed look at your mechanics.
So they're really looking at the whole picture then, not just your swing speed or how far you can hit the ball.
Exactly. They're trying to understand your individual needs and preferences to recommend clubs that complement your style of play.
This is making me realize that club fitting is more than just a technical process. It's really about understanding the golfer as a whole.
Yeah, that's a great observation.
Yeah.
And there's a psychological element to it as well. When you have clubs that feel right in your hands and that you trust to perform well, it can really boost your confidence on the course.
Oh yeah, confidence is key in golf. I know when I'm using clubs that feel good, I tend to swing more freely and just enjoy the game more.
And that's what it's all about, right? Finding the right equipment can enhance your enjoyment of the sport and help you reach your full potential.
Well said. Now let's shift gears a bit. The article also touched on the fact that Even within the categories of men's and women's clubs, there's still a ton of variation in design. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Absolutely. Even if two women have roughly the same height and strength,
Mm-hmm.
they might still benefit from different clubs, depending on their swing speed and their personal preferences.
So what are some of the key things that golfers should consider when they're trying to find the right clubs for them, even if they're not going for a full custom fitting?
Well, first and foremost, pay attention to how the clubs feel in your hands. Are they too heavy? Too light? Do you feel like you have good control over them?
Makes sense. If a club feels awkward or uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably not going to help your game much.
Exactly. Also consider your swing speed. If you have a slower swing speed, you might benefit from a more flexible shaft and a lighter club head to help you generate more club head speed. Conversely, if you have a faster swing speed, you might need a stiffer shaft to maintain control.
So it's all about finding the right balance for your individual swing.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to experiment and try out different club models. Most golf shops and driving ranges have demo clubs available that you can test out.
Okay, so let's say I'm at the golf shop and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the choices. What are some key questions I should ask to help me narrow down the options?
Great question. First, think about your skill level. Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced player? Different clubs are designed for different levels of experience.
Right. I wouldn't want to grab a set of clubs meant for a pro if I'm just starting out.
Exactly. Also consider what you're looking to improve in your game. Are you struggling with distance, accuracy, consistency? Certain club features can help address specific weaknesses.
So if I'm constantly slicing the ball, I might want to ask about clubs that promote a straighter ball flight.
Exactly. And don't hesitate to ask the salesperson for recommendations based on your needs and your budget. They're there to help you find the right clubs for your game.
This is all super helpful. I'm feeling a lot more confident about navigating the world of golf clubs now.
Good. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. As you improve your game, your equipment needs might change as well, so stay open to exploring and experimenting to find what works best for you at each stage.
That's a great point. I guess just like our golf swings evolve, so too should our clubs. But before we wrap up our deep dive into this fascinating world of golf clubs, I have one final question for you. If you could wave a magic wand and design like the ultimate golf club, one that incorporates all the best features for any golfer, what would it look like?
Oh man, that's a fun one. I think the ultimate golf club would have to be incredibly adjustable. Almost like a Swiss Army knife of golf clubs. You could tweak every aspect to fit your swing perfectly. Imagine a grip that adapts to your hand size and preference, a shaft that you could lengthen or shorten, and adjust the flex on the fly, and a club head that you could just swap out for different lofts and designs depending on the shot you're trying to hit.
So basically a club that could transform to
Yeah.
fit any golfer, any swing style, any situation on the course. That's pretty amazing.
Exactly. It would empower golfers of all levels to really play their best and just truly enjoy the game.
I love that idea. It really highlights what we've been talking about today, how finding the right equipment is all about matching the club to the player, not the other way around.
Absolutely. It's about finding that perfect harmony
Yeah.
between the player, the equipment, and the game itself.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up our deep dive into the world of golf clubs.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has. I feel like I learned so much about the science, the technology, and even the art that goes into designing these clubs.
Yeah, and hopefully our listeners now have a better understanding of why choosing the right clubs can make such a big difference in their game.
Absolutely. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we encourage you to think about what your perfect golf club would look like. What features would make you feel confident and excited to step onto the course?
Yeah, keep those ideas in mind the next time you're shopping for clubs, or even just hitting a few balls at the range.
And remember, it's never too late to learn more about the equipment you use and how it can really impact your game. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly,
Keep having fun out there.
that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of men's and women's golf clubs. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did. Until next time, keep those swings smooth and your knowledge sharp.